Hey everybody, it's Greg Rice from Nexus Property Management, and today we're at HomeSmart's headquarters in Warwick, Rhode Island with Albert Hajdaraj, team leader of the Hajdaraj group here at HomeSmart.
What's up, man?
How's it going, brother?
To see you.
So Albert actually reached out to me, maybe, was it a month ago now?
Almost a month ago, yeah.
In regards to a bill that's going on in the house in regards to eviction. So that's how we linked up, and we seem to have a lot of the same
mindsets and beliefs.
And that too.
Yeah.
So where'd you get started? Tell us about your immigration here and, just take it from the top.
I'm 29 now. I moved to America from Europe, from Kosovo. It's a very small country in the Eastern Europe. When I was 21, I went to college there. I used to study law, and I won some kind of competition, and I had an opportunity to get a working visa to come to America, and that's what I did. And the visa was for about 6 months, and I came here, and in 6 months in 3 months I was like, there's more to this. I got to discover more. Originally, I landed in Virginia. I was like country living, and it was just very different for me. It was, the whole lifestyle thing was just completely different. So I said, hey, I didn't travel across the globe for this. And no offense, right? But I just wanted to see what really America is about. And as an immigrant or as an outsider, most people, when you think America, when you think the United States, you think New York City. So I said, screw it, I'm just going to go to New York. I had no money, no connections, literally had no idea where I was going. But I just got a bus and just hopped in the bus, and 6 hours later, I landed in New York City. And then, started looking around. But before I landed, I started researching opportunities of where I could really land and get an apartment and get a small job, because I really had zero connections and nothing.
So where did you go that first day? Like, you get there from Virginia, maybe it's what, noontime, lunchtime?
Yeah, it was 11:47.
All right.
And I think it was 47th Street in New York. I remember like today. I get up, there was a Starbucks right there. Okay. I remember I went to the Starbucks. So before I went to New York for a week, I did research. I was looking like where I could go. And I found out that in the Bronx, there's a lot of originally I'm Albanian, right? So I found out that there's a pretty big Albanian community in the Bronx, people who did the same thing I was doing just years ago, right? And now they're established, they have restaurants, they have businesses, right? So I said, and I was 21. I mean, I had no idea I never thought of what could go wrong, and I just landed in the city in Manhattan. I had no idea how to go to the Bronx. So that took me like 4 hours to figure out the train system.
That's it? Just 4 hours?
Yeah. It was painful, but I remember I knew English, and I remember I was talking to people, and I figured out, connected with this guy. He's like, oh, I'm going there, so I'll just bring you there. I'm like, perfect. So we went, it's this street called Arthur Avenue. It's all Italian restaurants, right? But because of through time, there's a big Albanian community that works on those restaurants now or owns the restaurants, and they just have smaller business. So I figured, hey, I'll just walk down the street, and I'm just going to walk into restaurants and see if they're hiring. I had my suitcase, my backpack, and literally, like I remember like today, I'm going up this Fordham Road, and I make a right, Arthur Avenue. The first restaurant I face, I knock on the door, I walk in, they're not open yet. Michelangelo's restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an Italian restaurant. And I open the door, and there's a couple guys there, and they all look Albanian. Like, no one looks Italian. And they look at me, I have a backpack. I'm like, hey man, I just told them, this is who I am. I'm just landing here. I'm looking for any opportunity. I got to figure this out. And imagine you run into a person like that in just your regular day at your job, right? And I was just like, what? Like, oh, sit down. So they sat me down, gave me lunch. I ate lunch. We're talking. The owner came. The manager came there. And they just were fascinated with what was happening. And they said, hey, you know what? So there's two managers and the owner, right? One of the managers says, hey, my apartment is across the street from the restaurant. Here's my keys to my apartment. Go there, take a nap, take a shower, relax, come back later, and we'll figure it out. Mind you, I just met this guy.
Yeah.
I just met this guy. And I go there, do that, come back. And that day, he's like, look, we don't have any jobs here. Like, we don't have any openings. But he goes, I have a friend who's looking. He has another restaurant in Manhattan, so go check it out. So I'm like, okay, perfect. Next day, I get ready, hop on the train, go to Manhattan. Takes me about 4 hours to figure that out. I go and meet with this guy. He's like, look, man, I'm looking for experienced waiters, and you don't have any experience, which was true. He goes, I can't hire you. I said, whatever. I went back to the restaurant, disappointed. You know, I still have the mindset of living back home, which is like, you don't have a lot of opportunities. So it's like when an opportunity comes, you got to maximize and you got to put all your efforts into that, right? So I was just devastated. I was like, oh God, like, what am I going to do now? I didn't realize how big New York is and how much opportunity is out there. So I go back, devastated. I'm having a beer, and I'm just having like some food. And I remember the manager walks up to me, goes, hey, 2 of my busboys in the restaurant just quit. He goes, do you want the job? I'm like, yeah, of course I want the job. So that day I get the job. I'm still crashing at his apartment.
Wow.
And the next day I start working. The owner of the restaurant on the second floor has an apartment who he rents to students. 2 days before the students were supposed to move in for the year lease, they canceled the lease.
Wow.
So now his apartment was at risk of being vacant. And he's complaining to his wife about this. So I heard, I'm like, hey, I'll do anything to take that apartment.
Yeah.
But I had no money to give him deposits. I said, well, I'm working for you now. I said, just don't pay me until I pay the rent.
Yeah.
Whatever you need deposits, I don't care. And he said, yeah. So that's literally how it started.
Wow.
And then it's just, I never stopped from there. Just
So
working.
how long did you have to work to pay off, first in security or whatever he charged you to move in?
I think I worked about a month.
So a month every day, or?
I mean, that first month, I remember there were days where I worked like 24 hours.
Just didn't stop.
Yes, I worked. He had a restaurant, and he also had a bar.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would work in the restaurant during the day, like a 12-hour shift.
Yep.
Go change, shower, eat, and then I would go and work at his bar. Be like either a bartender or whatever he needed me to do. Right. So I would put 24-hour days.
So after you're doing this for a month, right?
Yeah.
You start to get a pay of how much?
I was getting paid in cash, which was great. I was making about between $300 and $500 a week.
And then how long did it take for you to start to save to make your next move? And what was that next move?
That's a good question. I mean, I started saving right away. I started saving the day I started working because I knew, and I just was saving my cash. And 2 months in, so here's the thing, right? If you're an American young person, like a 21-year-old, you're thinking about finding yourself, right? But the way, like, I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but like the way most Americans find themselves is, oh, I'm going to college.
Right.
My parents are paying for it.
Yep.
My apartment is paid for. I'm moving back in with my parents. I'm going to take my time to figure it out.
Take a year off.
I'm going to take a year off.
That one too,
yeah, I'm going to take a year off to figure it out. I didn't have a day to take off. I didn't have a minute. I had to literally grind, right? I had to grind, man.
Respect.
Yeah. Not just the fact that I was an immigrant, right? But it was that I didn't understand the system. Like, I didn't understand how anything worked. Social Security, taxes. I didn't understand anything, right? So I had to understand all of these things. I had to get my driver's license. I had to understand. I just had to understand the basic concepts of living here. Yep. Right. So, but that took me obviously that took me a little while, but it didn't stop me. So what I did is once I started, just getting a little bit more established, understanding where I was located geographically, like, all right, this is the Bronx, Manhattan is there, Brooklyn is there, Queens is there. I was like, okay, so now I would have a day off. On my day off, I would go to Manhattan, just walk around and just like look at like buildings, and just would fill you up with energy. I'm like, wow. And then I started understanding, okay, there's much more to this than me just working in this restaurant. Okay, so what else is there? I started looking for other opportunities in other restaurants, right? So 2 months in, I I literally kind of did the same thing, but now with more security because I had the job.
Yep.
I was going to restaurants in Manhattan, better, fancy restaurants,
Yep.
right? And I literally would look at like the most expensive high-end restaurants, and I would just go knock on their door and say, "Hey, are you guys hiring?" Right? And 3-4 restaurants in, I remember I got hired at, like, I'm not going to mention the name because I don't know, but it's one of the most like exclusive restaurants, fanciest restaurants in New York. Like we only serve celebrities. Like,
What is the restaurant? People probably want to know.
I know, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the restaurant is called Mr. Chow.
Oh, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, Mr. Chow. You know Mr. Chow in the Hangover movies.
Yes.
So there's a scene where the real Mr. Chow
funny.
is in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a celebrity, that guy. Like, he has restaurants in New York. He has 2 restaurants, Malibu, I think Dubai. Like, he's got restaurants all over the world. So I mean, they hired me, and then literally, I remember next week I was serving AC/DC they had a concert, and I'm like, what is happening? So that's where my mind just opened up.
Yep. You're like, wow.
Like, I could
do anything.
I could do anything. I was like, this is what this country is about.
This is America.
Yeah, this is America. I could literally do anything, right? Yep. And the more I push the envelope, the more opportunities I'm going to get, right? So from there, I just started grinding. The next really stage of my life was, I'm probably 22, 23 at this point. I meet my now wife. I meet her in New York. Same restaurant, by the way, the first restaurant where I started working.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's got like a part-time job. She was going to college there. So I meet her at the restaurant. Now we're together, and we got serious very quickly because when you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm 22, 23, and I just have all this energy, right? I had probably another year to finish college back home. I'm looking into transferring those credits and potentially go to college here. But then I started looking more deeper into it, and I'm like, I don't really like I don't like law. Like, I want to do my own thing somehow. Like, I want to start.
Yep.
I like entrepreneurship. Like, that's what I liked. But it took me a little while to figure that out, right? So I started, reading books and just doing research and trying to figure out what I like, right? And honestly, like, I'm still probably figuring that out today.
Yep.
But at least now I know that it's entrepreneurship. It's creating something for my own, right? I'd rather put 90 hours a week working for myself than and I'd rather do 90 hours a week working for myself for free than work 40 hours with a really high paying salary job. You know what I mean? Like, it would have to be $1 million a year for me to consider to get just a regular job. Because I'm not saying this to be proud. I'm just saying, like, that's just how it is. The idea suffocates me of having to just have a regular job. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that kind of answered your question, but
that was beautiful.
That was my start, man.
So you're at Mr. Chow.
Yeah.
How long are you there?
I stayed at Mr. Chow for about 6 months.
And then where?
And then, so 6 months, my wife graduates college. She's in there for a year, and we just realized New York is just not for us.
Okay.
It took me a little while to be convinced of that because, again, although my mind was open, I still didn't get it, right?
Okay.
It's like, let's just move here. Like, she lives in Seekonk, Massachusetts, which is right by the border of Rhode Island. She was raised here. She's like, let's just move here. She goes, why don't you come for a week and just see if you like it? And yeah, so I said, okay, all right, I'll do it. I came here. She had a little car. We were driving around Providence. I was like, oh, like, this is more laid back. I can like take my time and figure out what my next move will be. Right. So we did it. We moved down here, and we've been here ever since. And then when I moved here, I still did the same thing. I started working in restaurants.
What restaurants?
I worked at only one restaurant, actually. It's Chardonnay's in Seekonk.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good restaurant. The owner, his name is Al. He's got one there. He's got one in Pawtucket too. God, I forget the name. 49. It's a number. 49660 or something. And he's got one in East Greenwich too. So I started working there. I started making friends, and I was like, wow, this is so different. Because here people are more like townies, people who just they have their families here. In New York, it's almost everyone is like me. Like they move there trying to make it.
Yep.
You're usually in the arts, entertainment business, right? But then you also have like people who are obviously the finance and all that stuff. So I was like, this is a different feel, and I like this more. I like the grind, but this feels better for me. And cost of living is much lower. I can take more risks. I can do all those things. So that's what I did, right? My next move from there was I started, again, trying to find myself. I'm 23, 24 now. I think 24. 24 years old. And I'm trying to, I'm like, all right, like I like business, but what do I do with it, right? And then I remember, I think it was my mother-in-law. She's like, why don't you try sales? You're really good with people. You might like sales. I'm like, okay. So one thing about me is like if you suggest something that I should do or we should do together, like I'll dive deep into research for like 3 or 4 days and just see, try to have a personal definition of whatever it is. So I did that. I researched. I'm like, oh, sales. Oh, this is old techniques and communication, right? I'm like, I love it.
Yeah.
And I started selling cars at Herb Chambers.
Wow.
Yeah, in Seekonk. My first year, I ended up being, one of the top guys there. And I still have literally like 90% of those people are like good friends.
Wow.
That we're in contact with. But that's when I figured, all right, this is it. I knew that sales and communicating with people is it, right? But now, what do I do with this? How do I bring this to the next level? So I started looking at different opportunities, and real estate was one of them. And when I saw the potential in real estate and how much impact you can have, it was really a no-brainer. So like a year later, I was there for a full year. A year later, sat down with the GM, and I said, look, I just think it's time for me to make the next move. And if I don't do it now, I don't know when, and I said, this is nothing against you. Like I'm still, they know, like I'm still thankful for them giving me the opportunity, because that's when I knew, all right, now this is it. So I grabbed that 1 year sales experience I had, and I just went full force, into real estate. And now this is this 4th year.
And where did you start? Did you start at HomeSmart?
I started at HomeSmart, yeah.
So you've been with
I've been HomeSmart
Dean since day one.
Yeah. I'd made a small move for like 3 months to a different company, but I came back during COVID.
Gotcha.
And I've been here. Yeah, I love Dean. I love working here. It's everything you really need. So yeah, so now I'm building the team. I got a couple of people here working with me, but yeah, I mean, I'm just grinding, man,
Awesome.
So yeah.
So where do you expect your life to go in 5 years, in 10 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. In 5 years, I see myself having a team of between 5 and 10 agents, and we're top 1%, a 1% producing team in the state, potentially even further, and I see myself building the team in a certain way that it gives me more freedom and more time to look at different avenues and different opportunities.
Yep.
So that's really like my 5-year plan. In 10 years, I see myself being completely financially independent, and then looking to have a bigger impact into whatever opportunities present themselves. Like I don't think I don't think I know exactly what I'm going to do in 10 years, but I just want to be able to be open to opportunities, right? Like if I don't know if that makes any sense.
You want to leave room.
I just want to leave a lot of room, right? But I want to build this to the max and have like a really robust business that it's it's an example. It's not a copy of anyone. It's it's a brand. I want to build a brand so that when people think real estate, are people who know us, our sphere, and our targeted clientele, they think us and they know what we bring to the table.
Now,
so
what's your favorite color?
Favorite color is actually black.
Why?
Because it's simple. It's simple. It goes with anything, and it doesn't stand out, but it's also important. It makes I feel like it makes everything better, and it's so you can include it in anything, whatever, if you're in fashion or design or studio, and it just goes with it. So yeah.
And do you think that is representative of your being, your attitude, your approach? You're not the bright pink, bright yellow guy that needs to stick out. You're black.
Yeah.
You're, like you said, you're kind of behind the scenes, but making a big impact.
Yeah.
Is that who you are?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I definitely am not. I'm definitely not like the quiet person. If I'm in a room, you're probably gonna hear it. I'm loud. I like to talk, like even with content, like we're out there, we're doing it. Now you were on my podcast, but I don't have the attitude of like I'm better than you. I never like to like express that or even give out that energy, right? So like I'm always learning. I'm always coming from a position of like a humbleness, right? Because of my humble beginnings, really. I know where I was, and I know how much work and effort it took to be where I am. And this is just the beginning. Like I'm still grinding every day. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's really how I see myself in general.
And how about switching gears a little bit to MLS, right?
Yeah.
You use MLS like every other realtor to list and update and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What is the biggest flaw with MLS that you think should be improved?
That's a really good question. We had a buyer. We have a new client that called us from New York, and they're great. We met with them. They're ready to go. They want to move to Rhode Island, right? Like that's also what we do. We promote Rhode Island and why you should move here. We have a YouTube channel too. Can I give the plug? Living in Rhode Island. The YouTube channel is Living in Rhode Island, and it's all about the idea behind it is we're going to promote Rhode Island, but we're not going to go direct to like promote a local shop, but we're going to say what kind of foods, what kind of restaurants you're here, cost of living.
General overview.
General overview, right? Cost of living in Rhode Island, Providence, that kind of stuff. But to get back to your question, right? I met with them, we spoke, and now I want to set them up. We set them up on a search. I like to do it directly from the MLS because it is the most accurate data. Now they're partners. So we set them up in a search, and she literally asks us, hey, is there a way that I can communicate with my partner within the portal? And we're like, no, you can't.
So like say, hey, did you see this listing?
Yeah, like send each other notes, or like have this, like if he saves something, she can see it. If she saves something, he can see it, right? It's a very simple thing to fix. And every other company in the world has that, right? And then
it's like a shared dashboard.
Yeah, it's a shared dashboard, right? Or you could just kind of communicate with each other because they're going to make that decision together. But they get separate emails. So it's those little things that then the consumer goes to a website like Zillow, right? Or a website like Redfin.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for
Realtor.
them. Yeah, realtor.com. You're right. Because it's easier for them. And then you have realtors complain, oh, Zillow is taking us out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they will take us out of business.
Tell me more.
Yeah, they will take us out of business.
How?
And by providing better solutions to the consumer.
So better interface.
Better, I mean, that's just only one. But if you think about it, their whole business model is to provide better and simpler solutions directly to the consumer. The way the MLS is designed is that it provides better solutions to the realtor, but in order for the consumer to want to find information, specific, fast information about a property, they have to reach out to the realtor. So then we have to find it, which I like doing that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, maybe I'm busy with 15 other things, and I'm going to get back to them in an hour.
Right.
We just don't live in that time anymore.
Right.
We want the information right now.
Yep.
Right. So outside companies like Zillow, like Realtor.com, Redfin, that's what they're providing to the consumer, and that's why it seems like they're winning in the industry. I'm not, I'm just like you. I'm not afraid to be controversial.
Well, no, it's honest,
but it's true. I mean, that's what it's going to continue to happen, right? You literally hear realtors complain because they just bought Showing Time, which is a service within the MLS to set up showings. They bought the whole thing for $600 million, and their goal is to make the experience even better for the consumer. Like even right now, if I want to set up a showing, I'll call an agent who's doing 2 to 3 deals a year. It takes them 24 hours to get back to you.
Right.
And then you send them 3 times, say, oh, no, this is going to work. I have a soccer practice with my kids on Saturdays. How do you expect to win as a industry of real estate agents if that's the approach we're taking.
So you at home are probably wondering, what is the fate of realtors?
Yeah.
What is the fate of the 2, 3, 4 deal a year agents? Are they going to be washed away by technology?
So, yeah, the fate of realtors who are doing 3 to 5 deals a year, I think within 5, potentially 10 years, it's going to be really hard for you to be doing this. You know, first off, we're living a commission compression time, right? So every day our commissions are being compressed. Okay, you have services who are charging 1% to represent you. Is that the highest level of representation? No, it's not. But in a market like this, you really just need to post an address for sale. You don't need pictures and somebody's buying your house.
Right.
So people are taking, like big corporations are taking advantage of that. So with that said, the 3 to 5 deal person is going to have it really hard to do this and say, I have soccer practice. Okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to be taken out of business. I think what happens to our industry is, I think it's going to shrink, probably by 30%. The number of agents is going to shrink because it's going to be harder and harder to stay in business if you don't do it at a high level, if you're not full time, and if you're not highly invested in providing a good customer service. So I think teams are going to flourish in the next 5 to 10 years,
as they are already.
I mean, look at our buddy Emilio Despirito, right? Look at what he's done in the last 5 years, really. Because he just took, they innovate, they bring it to the next level, and then people want to be part of it. And I think that's kind of the future. Although it's really the present, but it's going to be at a higher level where it's going to be, if you're an agent that you want to just earn a living on this, it's almost going to be impossible for you to do it on your own, because Zillow, Redfin, and all these companies, they're not going anywhere. Yeah, they're going to chew you up. Yep. I mean, I had somebody call me 2 days. This was last week. He found us on Redfin and he called me. He goes, I'm trying to list my property. I said, okay, great. We went and met, and he's like, I only want to pay 1%. I said, I can't do that. I can't pay you. I can't afford to. I would lose money to do that 1%. I said, I would at least need to charge you 3% for my side, right? And then you have to pay the co-broke, right?
2%, 2.5%.
Yeah, whatever. 2%, 2.5%. See whatever that works. We're like literally still in talks. I had to show him, explain why and how this works. But if that was my only deal for the next 2-3 months, let's say I decide to give that guy a cut, right? Let's say I decide to take the listing at 2%, and if that was my only deal, because I'm a 1 to 2 deal a month person. How would you afford to earn a living that way? So that's where I think the industry is going to go. The things are just going to shift. And if you're not part of a team, it's going to be really, really hard. And now when I say part of a team, you don't have to be part of a big team where there's multiple agents and they act like a brokerage. You could be a smaller team with supporting staff.
Exactly.
But it has to be a team. If you're wearing 15 hats,
you're
dead. It's just not going to work anymore. It's not going to be worth it to do it.
And a point that I want to make to you at home, when you're listing your property, right? Emilio always tells me, people say, oh, you charge me 6%.
Yeah.
Can you do 4%? Or you charge me 5%. Can you do 3.5%, 3%? You don't want to save money on a real estate sale. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one thing that you shouldn't be looking to save money on.
Yeah.
Because you at 6% or 5% is probably going to sell the property for 5-10% more than the 2% guy or the 3% guy.
Yeah.
So you actually lose more money by trying to save money, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Consumers don't look at it that way. They say, oh, I only paid 3% on my $250,000 house. When if you paid 6% and got a top-end agent with a team perhaps, they might have sold it for $300,000.
I agree.
So as the consumer, you need to stop trying to save money and start investing money in a proper resource.
Yes. And find out and ask the question why. We always try to explain where the money is spent and how, let's just say it's a high-end home, right? Not even high end, over 500,000.
Yep.
Right? When you're over 500,000 and you're paying 5 or 6% commission, that really looks like a lot, right? But if you go to look at, all right, where is this money going? Like, we have a sheet where we tell people how this commission is going to break down and what our profit in the end really is, which is not the total 3% of 500,000. I wish it was.
You got your office fees. You got to pay HomeSmart. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff.
And then on top of that, we got to pay for the marketing, right? We got to pay for the advertising and all that stuff that is involved in there. We got to pay for the showing agents. We got to pay for if you are willing, if you want that experience, if you want the 1 to 2 agent a deal a year, where a 1 to 2 deal agent a year, where they have soccer practice on Saturday and they can't show your house, then yeah, you can go with a 2% person.
Mm-hmm.
But, I overall, I think if you focus on providing the value to the consumer, they'll see it and they'll hire you, right? These are unprecedented times because everybody with a pulse can sell a home.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, like, this is going to slowly fade away. Yeah. So when things become normal again, then you'll see, okay, oh, wow, okay, so something's off, right? I can't just list this house and it's selling. I got to figure something out. I got to do better photos. I got to do video. I got to advertise. I got to figure out Facebook advertising.
Yep.
And it's all those things. But right now, it's to me, the way the industry is, like, this is a very challenging time in our industry, I think. And I think only the strongest will survive. But then when we get to the other side of this, I think things are going to be much, much different.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, thank you so much for your time. How do the folks at home get in touch with you, your office?
Yeah, absolutely. You can call me directly, 508-851-5888. Also, you can email us at inquiries@thehajdarajgroup.com. Maybe you can put a link there.
Yeah.
Whatever questions you have about real estate, we're glad to help. If you're interested in finding out more about our team and what I'm doing, please definitely reach out. Call me, text me. Follow us on social media, the Hajdaraj Group, everywhere. Check out our podcast.
And just spell that for them.
I don't know how to spell. I'm kidding.
Me neither. Oh, here we go.
Hajdaraj. Yeah, right there. There you go. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Hajdaraj.
So it's really like it's almost like
the J is almost silent.
Yeah, and it's also like a Y at the end there.
Yeah.
Hajdaraj, or an I almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was Hajdaraj.
By the way, shout out to Yulia Baran.
Oh,
She's an attorney. She got those for me. It was really cool.
How do you spell that name?
Baran, Bara.
Yulia?
Yulia, yeah.
Y-U-L.
I'm not sure. Hold on. I always mess up her name. That's too funny.
And what type of attorney is she?
She's a real estate attorney.
Awesome.
She does more in Massachusetts. So because we also work in Massachusetts, so whatever I have in Massachusetts, we usually work with her. She's great.
Yeah, we'll put up her website there. AJ on the screen.
Hell yeah. Yuliya.
Come on, people. Let's simplify it.
I know.
What happened to Greg, John,
what happened to the Gregs?
Steve, Bill, Bob,
Tom's?
Just kidding. So again, Albert Hajdaraj of the Hajdaraj Group here at HomeSmart.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
And if you have any questions for me, throw them in the field below. I'll get right back to you. Once again, Greg Rice from Nexus Property Management, doing my second interview at HomeSmart's headquarters in Warwick, Rhode Island. Your property managed.